principles of international humanitarian law, and a critic to the lack of visibility by the media to the conflict in Yemen. I know that some of the concepts present in my opinion article may be foreign to your understanding, specifically those principles of international humanitarian law. Therefore, I am in charge of explaining them to you to better understand my previously mentioned article. Principle of proportionality. Weapons and methods that cause civilians and their property excessive damage with respect to the intended and direct military advantages are prohibited. Principle of military necessity. It strikes a delicate balance between the needs of war and humanitarian conditions so that unnecessary evils should not be caused to the adversary in relation to the objective of the armed conflict, which is to defeat the enemy. Principle of distinction. The parties to the conflict must at all times distinguish between the population and the combatants. A distinction will also be made between civilian objects and military objectives. Principle of immunity. Civilians shall enjoy general protection against the dangers arising from military and should never be target of these attacks. Principle of humanity. All those who do not participate in hostilities, including members of the armed forces who have laid down their weapons and those who have been knocked out due to illness, injury, arrest, or any other cause, must be treated humanely. Principle of the Law of Geneva. This principle covers the same information mentioned on the principle of humanity. Nevertheless, it specifies on the wounded, sick, prisoners of war, and civilian population victims of armed conflict. Now, there will be a critic of the media and the lack of visibility that it gives to the crisis in Yemen. Therefore, Alejandra Garita, a student in the area of international relations, was invited. Thank you, Alejandra.
Well, hey Kerrian, thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. It's a pleasure for me being here to discuss about a very important topic that not everyone knows about it. So, as we know, according to the United Nations, Yemen is the worst humanitarian crisis all around the globe. And they are now facing an epidemic, which is cholera, and also the worldwide pandemic, COVID-19. It is also very important to highlight that at least 150 children die per day in Yemen. So, the thing is that the media isn't covering this topic, and many people don't know about it. But why aren't they covering this important topic regarding a humanitarian crisis in the Middle East? And I have nothing against it, but when things happen in the United States, everyone all around the world and all the media covers it. Why is this happening? Isn't this humanitarian crisis in Yemen important enough? Or is there something maybe behind that, and that's the main reason why they aren't talking about it? Well, on the other hand, we have pages on Instagram and Twitter that are trying to cover this topic. And I think it is important to share everything that we see about Yemen, because it makes people realize how badly is the situation and how the people from Yemen are suffering. So these pages, what are trying to do is to get donations for this country by providing different links where people can contribute by making donations or sharing with others this information. So, what can we do as citizens to keep people informed? Well, I would say share information with all the people we can and keep others up to date with everything we know, and keep sharing information that we see on Instagram and Twitter. But yeah, thank you, Kerrian. once again for inviting me to your podcast.
Thank you very much, Alejandro, for your perspective, and thank you all for listening to this podcast. See you the next time.